to Trump, but today he announced Paul Atkins as his pick to be the next chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission. This guy is known as a crypto bull. Doug Flynn is here to talk about it from Flynn Zito Capital Management. And I say it's not surprising because, we've talked about Trump, this is his thing, but this guy was in government, went out and worked in cryptocurrencies and the like. So, all right, Bitcoin and the rest, you're in business here, less regulation. What do you think?
Exactly. I mean, Trump is delivering, if he gets approved, that a pro-crypto person to the helm of the SEC. And I think partly if you look at what he did while at the SEC, and he was a big free market guy, but at the same time, he did come after those who sort of went against the individual investor and manipulated the markets. He was anti that, but also just in looking what he is doing with smaller government, more free market, more pro individuals. That all kind of lines up, and the crypto market kind of responded favorably. It was expecting something like this, but you can see that it's been sort of range bound between 90 and 100,000. So it got a little pop today on perhaps this is going to come through with what they expected.
Yeah, and I would think, to your point, a lot of this is, as they say, priced in because this is how they knew Trump would go. What about just for markets overall, the idea of the SEC chair? How much does that person matter? I mean, a lot of people on Wall Street do look closely, I think, at who's running the SEC because you get regulation and you can free things up, not just crypto, but in other places.
Yeah, I mean, it does apply to a lot of other areas, just in general. Do you have someone who's more big government, more oversight, stricter rules that are somewhat restrictive by the nature of just how long it took Bitcoin ETFs to get approved when everyone is clamoring for them for a long time? So that's sort of indicative of a lot of other areas where they were maybe slow. On the flip side, the current SEC did some good things, like they cut down how quickly it takes to settle trades in our industry down to just 1 day. So there's some good things there. But trying to balance the needs of the individual investor and what's good overall. But the backdrop with the new administration is going to be less of that. Let's get things a little bit more freer, open, and perhaps a little bit more reflective of what's going to continue to make America great, according to these two guys.
That's right. Now, in the 2 minutes we have until the closing bell rings on Wall Street, I'll do a good news, bad news from the headlines today in terms of companies. Let's talk about Salesforce first. Beats on revenue compared to expectations, optimistic about the future, particularly on artificial intelligence. Tell us about Salesforce.
Yeah, I mean, their Agent Force is their AI chatbot, but it's really like an advanced chatbot. So they beat on the current quarter, and as we've been talking about, the expectations of the upcoming quarter, they came out, or they say they're also going to do very, very well. And that's what the market is really picking up on. But if you look at this chatbot, it's really bringing a lot of productivity and profitability gains to the companies that use Salesforce as their platform. And so that's where the big news is here, and why the stock popped a little bit today, because they're saying that's going to translate into all these companies that use them into a better experience with a better AI chatbot.
Second company in the news today, not for the best of reasons. I mean, General Motors is taking a hit, pretty big, $5 billion hit. This seems related to China, issues in China, right?
It is. I mean, they actually, what's really interesting is prior to last year, the previous 10 years, they sold more cars in China than in the U.S., and they were pulling $2 billion in profits every year. Well, that turned around last year. They're now actually losing money. And so what they need to do is they need to scale back, cut some costs, take a charge. But the big problem with this is that, of course, you can never really own anything directly in China. You have to have a partner. And their partner over there, BYD is the big car company over there, which has made a lot of inroads competitively. But their partner over there, GM's partner that is of course owned by the Communist Party of China. So you have to be careful how you deal with them over there. So it doesn't surprise me where if they're kind of turning their head a little bit to something else, that it's been a little bit more difficult for GM to make inroads there. But they're picking it up over here with SUVs and pickup trucks, and they're making a lot more profits back over here now, which again is what Trump keeps talking about.
All right, Doug, thank you. Yes, he does. Doug Flynn, Flynn Zito, closing bell time on Wall Street.